Hello everybody, how is it going? I am Lucas and welcome to another episode of Amps and the XFX3. Today we are checking out one called the Blankenship Leeds. Now this one is based off of a 18 watt Marshall amp. That's what the Blankenship is based off of, and this one's actually modeled from Dweez's personal one. So that is going to be really cool to check out. So real quick, didn't mess with anything in the ideal tab, messed with an authentic, and IR wise using Leon Todd's Warehouse Guitar Speaker Mix 1. We're gonna check out the triptych IR a little later on. Actually, let's do that right now because I'm probably gonna forget. So let's check it out. The reason I'm gonna do this is because this is what they recommend in the XFX wiki, because there's not exactly a cab that matches this specifically. Blankenship uses one. I think it has some greenbacks in it. It's some G12 75s, I believe. This is just kind of what it came with. It was a really small amp, and the cabs really weren't all that big for it. So this is going to be a 112 triptych with a 57 on the cap comb. Let's just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. I rather it with Leon's because it just sounds a lot better to me. It just sounds way more open. Now let's check out some actual info about this amp. Let me turn that down. And all the info that I get from this amp is going to be from the XFX wiki, and it comes from Yick's amp guide. I'm going to put a link to that in the description down below. So this amp is based off of, like I said before, this one's 21 watt, but it's based after the famous 18 watts Marshall open back from the 60s that was referred to as a mini blues breaker with an 18 watter. This is placed on the 16th most valuable amp on Vintage Guitar's list of most valuable amps. Marshall released a couple of reissues. This amp is, and its clones like the Blankenship. I don't know if it's sounding big despite being very small. As I said before, Dweez loaned this to Cliff. Cliff modeled it and put it in the XFX. It has two channels, one with and without tremolo. The controls are simple, volume and tone, and tremolo controls. The tone knob is mapped to the treble control in this model. So as you turn up the tone control, it gets brighter. The amp has no, from Cliff himself, the amp has no high cut circuit, therefore the control won't do anything, neither does depth. It's a very simple amp if you haven't gotten that by now. As Blankenship explains in the video, the best way to do this, the video is down there, but the best way to do it is to, you max out the input drive or the volume, and you turn the tone to where you like, and then you just use the volume off of your actual guitar to shape the tone. So let's actually do that right now. So I'm going to turn the input all the way up, and turn that up a little bit. And I'm using my GNL Strat with DiMarzio Area 67 pickups, I believe that they are, and I'm using them on my bridge, which is a little bit different for me because I normally play everything on my neck, but this amp is super bassy. So let's check it out. I'm gonna turn up my volume about like at 4 right now, meaning I'm looking at the 4 when I look down to give you a reference. I see why he suggests to do that, because it gives you complete tonal control when you do it like that. Because as you heard, like as I cranked my volume more, it got more and more saturated and it got, you know, dirtier. as we cranked it, because when we play with what I played with on the opening, I had the input like about right there, which that kind of allows you to keep your volume kind of cranked. So this is what my volume cranked at. And I get why he says to do that, because it kind of makes more sense, because it gives you more tonal control when you crank everything up like that. The only thing with that is you have to be careful, because like this is like a 2.5. It gets real clean, and then this is like at 6. Yeah, this amp is very cool. It's one of the more touch sensitive amps. What I mean by touch, it means that, like, you know, it interacts with the volume very, very well. Let's all read a little bit more about it, and it explains it that right there. And I want to go over some stuff from the wiki. One of the things that isn't exactly mentioned whenever you're looking up in Yek's guide is that the 18-watt Marshalls are kind of a bad design. The phase inverter drives the power tubes too hard, which results in excessive bias excursion. And that's very interesting to know. I learned so much about researching all these amps. It's very, very fun. And this is what I was talking about earlier. I got it wrong. Sorry about this, because it's some G12 H30s is what they originally used for it, for the Leeds combo. This amp is very interesting. I find that it's very good for like if you want to do some light breakup stuff, or if you kind of want a Vox vibe, but you kind of want a little bit more Marshall-y flavor in there. This is fairly perfect for it. And it's really cool that Dweezil went to the cliff and he was able to mod it, because Blankenship also modded Dweezil's basement that he has, and I will put a link to that up top, because we already went over the basements a little ways back. We went over Dweezil's basement. So that's about gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna try and give you some guys a little bit of some single notes stuff going on. I'm gonna bring my volume down a little bit. I got it about like 6 or 7. Alright guys, that is going to wrap it up for me in the Blankenship Leeds, but I want to hear from you. Do you use this amp? Do you think it's cool? Do you use it in your patches? Let me know in the comments down below. But as for me guys, I'm going to have to be out. Make sure you smash like and smash subscribe, because we're going to go over all the amps in the Active Alright guys, I'm going to have to be out. Peace.